إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Inshallah, today I'd like to start by going back to the basics of defining what our deen is. And so this, our deen of Islam, the deen known as Islam, is defined in a very famous hadith known as the hadith Jibreel. And this hadith is the second hadith in the collection of Imam Nawawi's Arba'in. That he thought that these 40 hadith are the most important hadith to the Muslim, for the everyday Muslim. And so this hadith starts, it's narrated from Umar radiallahu anhu. عن عمر رضي الله عنه قال بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم اطلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر. So it starts like this, that when one day we were sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this hadith took place about 6 months before the Prophet blessed soul left this world. One day we were sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, and a man came to us. And he had extremely dark black hair and extremely white clothes. And then Umar continues to say, وَلَا يَعْرِفُهُ مِنَّا أَحَدٍ. None of us knew him. So you need to think about this. It's in the middle of the desert. And this man has completely clean black hair, completely clean white clothes. And they've never seen this man in Medina before. And he shows up, and these people are wondering, who is this man? We've never seen him before, who is he? You know, we don't see any traces of travel on him. So they're wondering, who is this man? حتى جلس إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتين ووضع كفيه على فخذيه. And then he sat with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he put his knees against the knees of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he put his palms on the thighs of the Prophet ﷺ. وَقَالَ يَا مُحَمَّدْ. He said, "O Muhammad ﷺ, أَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِسْلَامِ. Tell me about al-Islam, tell me about submission. What is submission?" So the Prophet ﷺ said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإسلام أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. First, Islam is to testify that there is only one God and that the Prophet ﷺ is his messenger. وَتُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَتُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةِ. And then to establish the prayer, and then to establish zakat, to give zakat. وَتَصُومَ رَمَضَانَ. To fast the month of Ramadan. وَتَحُجَّ الْبَيْتَ إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. And then to make Hajj, make pilgrimage to Mecca once in your life if you have the ability to. So when you listen to the 5 pillars of Islam, these are the 5 outward pillars of Islam. So this is how our deen is being defined. That the first part is submission, the outward, what's known as fiqh, right? The outward aspects of our deen. So what he's defining here is to know, what's intended here is for us to know these 5 pillars and how to act on these 5 pillars. And a lot of times we think we know these things, but we actually don't. So it's important for us to realize that this is a fard ayn. It's a fard on everyone to know, first of all, the shahada, and what are the implications of the shahada, and then know how to pray the salah, what is the rulings of the salah, what's sunnah in the salah, what's fard in the salah, what breaks your salah, what doesn't break your salah. It's fard on us to know these things. And then you can't make salah if you don't know, you can't pray if you're not pure. Legally pure. So you need to know the rules of legal purity. What makes your wudu, your ghusl, what makes it valid, what makes it invalid. right? What breaks these things? We need to know the rules of these things. And then we need to know the rules of zakat. He tells us, the Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, to give zakat. And so zakat, you need to know the rules of how do you give it, who do you give it to, who can take zakat, who can't, what do you give zakat on. So we need to know the basic fiqh rulings on these, right? Remember that no one's asking us to become a faqih, someone who has a vast understanding of fiqh, but we are being asked to know the basics of fiqh. The basics so we can complete our daily actions. وَتَصُومَ Ramadan, to be able to fast Ramadan and to know how to fast on Ramadan and what makes our fasts valid and invalid, what's recommended, how do we perfect our fast. We need to know the rulings of that. And then وَتَحُجَّ الْبَيْتَ إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, to know before you go to Hajj, to know the rulings of Hajj, what makes your Hajj valid, what makes it invalid. So these are things we need to know, and then whatever other aspects of fiqh apply to our lives, such as like if you're a businessman, you should know the fiqh rulings of business so you're not breaking the laws of business, and we should follow a system of fiqh, right? Because this is submission, this is the outward submission. So the Prophet ﷺ said this to Jibreel alayhi salam, and Jibreel alayhi salam said, قَالَ صَدَقْتَ, you've told the truth. And so then they said, Umar radiallahu anhu said, فَعَجِبْنَا لَهُ يَسْأَلُهُ وَيُصَدِّقُهُ. We were shocked that, first of all, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, and then he says, you're correct when he gets the answer. So they let it go and it keeps going. So then Jibreel alayhi salam says, قَالَ فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِيمَانِ. Tell me about Iman, belief. What is faith? What do we have to believe? And the Prophet ﷺ says, قَالَ أَن تُؤْمِنَ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. To believe in Allah and what we need to know who we worship, know the nature of Allah, to be able to remove the doubts remove the doubts that come into our minds about the one that we worship, and then believe in the angels, because the angels bring the message from Allah, and that message is the kutub. We need to know the nature of the kutub, and it's brought to the prophets alayhi salam, and so to the messengers. And so we need to know the nature of our messengers. That our messengers, we need to know that there are certain things that are possible for a messenger, some things that are impossible. So it's impossible for a messenger to lie. It's impossible for a messenger not to finish not to finish the message that they've been given. They have to convey it to the people. So we should know this, and this is called aqidah. Aqidah is dogma. It's what you're supposed to believe, but Iman is to believe in that aqidah and to be firm in your belief in it. So now we've covered the outward, which is known as fiqh. The second is aqidah. We should know these two things. And then, after the Prophet ﷺ listed this, in the last one he says, believe in the decree of Allah, the good and the bad of it. And then he says, قَالَ فَأَخْبِرْنِي قَالَ صَدَقْتَ, that you've told the truth. Jibreel alayhi salam says that again. And then he says, قَالَ فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِحْسَانِ. Tell me about perfection, tell me about beauty, tell me about purity. What is ihsan? And so the Prophet ﷺ says, قال أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To worship Allah as if you can see Him, as if He's that close. But if you can't see Him, if you can't see Allah in this dunya, then know that He sees you in all your states. That Allah looks at you and sees you in all your states. And so this is known classically as tazkiyatun nafs, purification of the heart. To be perfected inside. So because Allah is the only one that can see inside of you. And so it's fard on us to know what are the diseases of the heart, because there's spiritual diseases of the heart that we have. It's fard on us to know what these diseases are, whether we have them or not, and how to get rid of them. For example, there's hatred, jealousy, arrogance, ostentation. These are the basics of the disease of the heart that we need to get rid of. And so now we've covered these three things. There's the outward al-Islam submission, which is fiqh, what you believe, which is Iman, and you need to believe in the aqidah. You don't just simply state that there is this thing that we believe, but you don't actually believe in it. And when you truly believe in it, you see yourself become a muhsin, a person who practices ihsan, who practices perfection, beauty, a person who allows themselves to be carried in a manner in which they always recognize that Allah is watching them with perfection, whether anyone else can see or whether anyone else can't. And that doesn't mean that someone's not watching. That doesn't just mean when somebody's watching you, you don't do good. that you do good, but even when somebody's not watching you, and that you allow your heart, which no one can see except Allah and yourself, you allow that to do good as well. And then the final aspect of our deen, because we are the last ummah, and this we were given the last Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Jibreel alayhi salam says, قال فأخبرني عن الساعة. Tell me about the last hour. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, قال ما المسؤول أعلم بها من السائل. The one being asked doesn't know any more than the one who's asking. So then Jibreel alayhi salam says, قال فأخبرني عن أماراتها. Tell me about its signs. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, قال أن تلد الأمة ربتها. That the slave girl will give birth to her mistress. And there's a lot of discussion about what that means. But the next one is very obvious. وأن ترى الحفاة العارة العالة رعاء الشاء يتطاولون في البنيان. That you see the Bedouin desert, dwellers, the ones with no shoes, the naked, destitute, they're competing in building tall buildings. So Prophet ﷺ gave us some signs of the end of times. So we should know these four things. And why I'm saying these four things? Because as we continue, we see that the Prophet ﷺ defines this as the entirety of the deen. So then Umar radiallahu anhu says, ثم انطلق فلبثت مليا. He left and we stayed for a while. And the Prophet ﷺ said, قال يا عمر أتدري من السائل? Do you know who the one asking was? And then Umar radiallahu anhu says, قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. Allah and His Messenger know better. As in, you tell me. So the Prophet ﷺ says, قال فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. This is narrated in Sahih Muslim. So then he says that that was Jibreel. He came to give you your deen, and your deen were these four things: the outward, what you believe, and the inward. And if you don't have, and then the signs of the last day. If you don't have these four things, you're missing an aspect of your deen. So it's important for us to look back and check with ourselves. Really, do we know these four things? If we needed to teach someone, could we do it? So inshallah, let's make it our mission to make sure that we know some of these four things, just the basics. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So inshallah, if you relate, basically what we discussed is what's necessary for us to know about our deen. We need to know the rulings of carrying our outward daily actions, such as prayer, fasting. If you're a businessman, how to carry out your business. What are the rulings on these things? Just the basics. Nobody's asking us to become scholars. Remember that. We're only being asked to know the basics, and then to know what to believe in, and then actually believe in it, and then to know what the diseases of our heart are, and how to remove them from ourselves. And then to know some of the signs of the last day, because we are the last ummah. We've been given the last prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we should recognize that the last day is that we are in the end of times. The end of time started when the Prophet ﷺ, one of the first major signs is the coming of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's been 1400 years since that's happened. We're going to be coming to the end of it soon. Only Allah knows. We don't know when it's going to happen. So let's not let these four things leave us. We should recognize the importance of these four things, and recognize that it's our responsibility to learn them. Allah says in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. Oh, you believe, if you help Allah, as in if you help the deen of Allah, Allah will help you and make you firm, make your feet firm. But the opposite is also true, that if we bring humiliation to the deen of Allah, then He is going to humiliate us, and we won't be firm, and we'll be put in the lowest of states. So inshallah, let's not allow ourselves to fall to the worries of the dunya and say that we don't have time to learn these basics, and let's recognize that these basics are fard on us, inshallah. So let's bring victory to the deen of Allah, because that's how we bring victory to the deen of Allah, that we appreciate what we've been given, and we recognize that whatever we know in this world won't benefit us unless we know these four things. Because Allah's not going to ask you about your PhD in this or that. He's going to ask you about these basics. So inshallah, let's not allow the worries of this world to take that away from us. Take that away from us. اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا مبلغ علمنا. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. حينا وأدخلنا دار السلام اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل ما واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تبارك ربنا وتعاليت لك الحمد على ما قضيت نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب إليك. And also, before we close, recognize that Allah and His angels send salutations, and the peace send their salutations and the blessings of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we also have to do that. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة.